As it's our special coverage of the investigative proceedings into the cash for seat saga. The ad hoc committee is sitting, and Raymond Akwa is here with me to go into the details of what we've heard so far. Raymond.
Done.
So what have we been hearing so far?
So first and foremost, we started by hearing the committee set out the reasons for which they actually gathered there. Then we got specifically to the Honorable Muntaka, who is a minority chief whip, who actually petitioned Parliament, who set in the motion and all of the details in Parliament that led to the formation of this particular committee.
So he triggered all of this?
Yes. So the chairman of the committee, Sunyani East MP, Kwesi Ameya chairman, actually introduced him. And first, the query had to come from the members. So the member of Parliament, Dominic Ayine, actually started by taking him through the petition and what he thinks about this petition. To many, this was virtually like a lawyer representing or leading his client through the evidence-given process, because he actually started by saying, you do believe that there were inconsistencies in the things that have been said. Then the MP goes ahead to say, yes, this is because when at committee level we're told about this incident, the Trace Committee held meetings with both the chief director of the ministry and also a deputy minister, not Carlos Ahinkra, of the same ministry. All of these, and we are talking about Ahomka Lindsay, the Honorable Ahomka Lindsay, who is a deputy minister like Carlos Ahinkra in that particular ministry. So the two of them met the Trace Committee. They both gave not so coherent decisions or statements about what had happened with the organization of this program. So whilst the chief director flatly denied knowing anything about the organization, the other person, the deputy minister, said he needed to check, but he was unsure because he has not been briefed on the matter.
That was Robert Ahomka
Lindsay. Now, the minority chief with Mubarak Muntaka Mohammed said days after, on a radio station in Accra, the other deputy minister, who is in the person of
Carlos Ahinkra,
was heard admitting knowing everything about the program, 1, 2, but said the ministry played a facilitating role. So these contradictions, first level, raised the suspicion of the minority. He, together with some other members of the what they call minority, then sought to find out from the House if they could probe the matter. That was first level, because they actually had to use a question to do that. It was not successful. Then, out there in the media, the issue was developing. He quotes Evans Mensah's engagement with the deputy minister,
Carlos Ahinkra,
and says that clearly out of that interview were several contradictions supporting the earlier contradictions he had established in their engagement with the Trace Committee. Which made it more suspicious.
What Carlos Ahinkra told Evans Mensah that night did not match with what they were told at the committee level.
So it actually deepened. And let's not forget, these are two deputy ministers of the ministry and the chief director. He is of the firm belief that the three cannot be speaking different language on this matter and clearly contradicting each other. So he sought to find out if the Parliament could do an independent probe. The question then came, and the entire process was he being led through. I'll come back to some of the specific questions that the Honorable Dr. Dominic Ayine asked.
And there was also a disagreement between him and the chairman of the committee at a point.
Yes, I'll come back to that particular point. But the other person to have queried this man was the member of Parliament for Adentan, who is in the person of
Yaboabina
Samoa. His claim, he went back to the procedure that ended up that way, and also established that his motion and what they are discussing, there are some variances. Some information or exhibits he submitted now was not available to the House when they were determining this. He also proceeded to say that perhaps his conduct would have been in bad faith, because this could have been done in the House. The response from the Member of Parliament was that, whoa, no. From my experience, and I have been in leadership for the last 5 years, that's Mutaka. You don't interrupt appropriations when we are discussing that, because of the time frame, it's
and what
a
are
year.
Appropriations for
Appropriations are actually budgetary estimates for the various ministries that they have to pass before government can spend in the new year.
Okay.
So you don't interrupt.
They have to approve those estimates, those expenditures that they want to make.
So they have to go through all of them. And it would have been improper, mindful of his experience in the House, to introduce, in fact, he said the House had not been willing to entertain any other business apart from appropriations. That's the more reason why, even though they knew of this, proud to go in on recess, he could have brought it up or asked for the probe before this happened.
Because one of the issues that came up was the fact that he had to call an emergency session.
Very good.
So people were talking about costs. Why did he have to fly all those people back? That is his justification,
mindful of his experience in the House and what he felt was appropriate. He kept on insisting that, why are you even still querying this matter when the Speaker had been clear in his mind that we have moved beyond this particular issue? So he believes it's water under the bridge. But the MP makes the point that the intent for which you conduct yourself here and why you're asking for this probe also matters, so that we are not led into believing that you did this in good faith, when indeed the crux of it is bad faith.
Bad faith.
So that is the engagement largely with Yabo Abina Samwa. Now, it was when the Honorable James Aveji came in that the issue became a bit more complex, because his questioning, and to be fair, was similar to Dr. Dominic Ayine's own. It sought, among other things, and people are mindful of the legal process, knows when leading questions are being asked. So I ask you, you acted in good faith by bringing this matter to the Parliament. You wanted to establish that the conduct was unethical. That line of questioning is leading. That is what the chairman of the committee, who is also a lawyer, raised. When he raised that particular query, then
Dr. Dominic Ayine comes
said
in.
He had a differing opinion.
Okay.
And the former Deputy Attorney General said that this is not a court of law, a committee of law. This is a committee of inquiry. The committee of inquiry can admit and actually accept leading questions, and that is different from what they call it,
a tribunal of law
would do. Then the chairman was also not very much in favor of that opinion, but the man who was leading the man in the who was asking the questions, insisted that he had not even finished asking his questions. So those who are arguing over whether or not it is leading or not, why do they want to, in his words, what if you want to kill me, hear me first? So that's actually what ended that debacle between the two.
And I realized he rephrased his questions.
Very good. So if you see, he actually moved on with the general questions and not necessarily saying the ones that was purported to be leading. Now, back to the exact questions that were being asked him. Honorable Mutaka Mubarak had to come back, and at any point in time, especially during the Yabo Abina engagement and also during the engagements with the other members of the committee, especially when it got to the turn of Dr. Marcus Sibe, who was the chairman of the finance committee, he was being asked to do something very specific,
Raymond,
to justify his claims.
Yes, we would have to halt it here because the committee has reconvened, and the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, one of the people who started this whole debacle about the cash for seat saga, has taken his seat. Will join the proceedings, and he's currently taking his oath, I'm told. So Raymond, let's wrap up with the recap.
So
quickly.
what has happened so far is the man being asked to justify his comments, being asked to justify the documents he has brought before the committee, being asked to tell them exactly what he wants them to do. And it can be largely categorized into two forms. He believes that they need to interrogate because there are contradictory messages and the truth ought to be established. Two, he believes that the act of using a public office, i.e. the Ministry of Trade and Industry, to collect money to be given to a private institution is wrong. Three, he also believes that, as an addendum to the second one, that the office of the president cannot be monetized, and that access to the president cannot be dependent on how much or who can pay.
Okay.
So that's the thing that he wants the committee to establish, one, first through the contradictions, unraveling, and proceed to make some determinations on this one.
Right. Thank you very much, Raymond Akwa, and we'll be here throughout the day to bring you all the details of this particular hearing. But let's go back and hear Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa as he faces the committee.
Very grateful, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, good afternoon to you and your distinguished committee. My name is Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. I'm the Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency. In my second term in Parliament, I serve on the Appointments Committee, and I'm also ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee.
on the 5th of January, the minority chief will move the motion on the floor of Parliament that this Honorable House investigates the levy and collection by the Ministry of Trade and Industry of the Ghana cedi equivalent of various sums of money in United States of America dollars from expatriate businesses and related matters during the recently held Ghana Expatriate Business Awards in Accra. We are before us to speak to the information that you have about this matter. And you seconded the motion on the floor that day.
Very grateful for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman. As has been duly acknowledged, Mr. Chairman, I did second the motion moved by the Honourable Member of Parliament for Asawasi that this House investigates the levy and collection by the Ministry of Trade and Industry of the Ghana cedi equivalent of various sums of money in United States of America dollars from expatriate businesses and related matters during the recently held Ghana Expatriate Business Awards in Accra. Mr. Chairman, we did that pursuant to Article 103(1) and 3 of the Constitution of Ghana. Article 103(1) states that Parliament shall appoint standing committees and other committees as may be necessary for the effective discharge of its functions. Clause 3 states, committees of Parliament shall be charged with such functions, including the investigation and inquiry into the activities and administration of ministries and departments as Parliament may determine, and such investigation and inquiries may extend to proposals for legislation. So, Mr. Chairman, we have done this pursuant to these articles of the Constitution and pursuant to Order 191 of our standing orders. We believe that all of the matters that have come up since the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, which have generated public interest and considerable public attention, not only in Ghana, but at the international level. We have noticed that other international media organizations like the BBC, the VOA, Reuters have all had cause to publish matters related to this whole incident. And Mr. Chairman, the fundamental issue has to do with whether it is appropriate, whether it is moral, whether it is ethical, whether it is legal for access to our President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to be offered to the highest bidder. It is my contention that you cannot sell the prestige of the office of president. You cannot say that you are organizing an awards and that if you pay $100,000 or $75,000, you will be guaranteed access to the president, first by sitting by him, and secondly by having an exclusive private dinner with the president. It is my considered view, humbly, Mr. Chairman, that there is everything wrong with this arrangement. It is not appropriate. It cannot be justified in any way. But, Mr. Chairman, if I will be permitted to state how this matter came to our attention, and when I say I refer to the minority in Parliament, it is the Honorable Minority Chief Whip who drew attention to a whistleblower who has brought a letter that must be of concern to us. So we obtained the letter, studied it, and we were all surprised at the content of the letter. The letter is dated 23rd October 2017, and it has the heading Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, a black tie event. And it reads, Mr. Chairman, if I have your permission, congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Which document are you referring to?
Please, I'm referring to the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards letter signed by the Honorable Carlos Kingsley Ahinkra and dated 23rd October 2017.
So we'll title it OK, Okudzeto 1.
I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the letter reads, congratulations. Your company has been identified and nominated to participate in the Made in Ghana Expatriate Business Awards. The President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the government, and people of Ghana will, for the first time, recognize and honor the titans of industry within the expatriate and naturalized expatriate community in Ghana, who have over the decades assisted in transforming the lives of Ghanaians. The Ghana Expatriate Business Awards was formally launched at a cocktail by Honorable Alan Chermantin, Minister of Trade and Industry, on the 13th of September 2017 at the Movenpick Hotel, Accra. Our national economic and social development, knowledge transfer, and indeed significant foreign direct investment.
Honorable, you served us copies of this document yesterday. We have all had the benefit of reading. So if you can refer to relevant portions for the sake of the evidence you want to adduce.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I want to plead with you to permit me to read all, because all the paragraphs I will be speaking to all the paragraphs because of matters that have transpired since we put this letter in the public domain. If I have your permission, I would take cognizance of the constraints with time and be as...
Because you have started the reading for this document, okay, we would allow you, but for subsequent documents, we are not going to read them in extenso.
I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, if I may continue, it says that in addition to this, several expatriates and naturalized expatriates are key ambassadors promoting Ghana at the international stage. Most of these expatriates, in spite of challenges, are at the forefront of promoting trade and investment between Ghana and the international community, developing social enterprises, as well as supporting other social programs of the government. Your tremendous interest in President Akufo-Addo's economic transformation agenda, especially the Ministry of Trade and Industry's 10-point industrial transformational program, particularly the One District, One Factory initiative, SME development programs, export development, and enhancing the business enabling environment, is deeply acknowledged. In recognition of the above, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, in collaboration with the highly respected Millennium Excellence Foundation, will be hosting the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards on the 8th of December 2017. Kindly see the attached criteria and submit your details by the 10th of November 2017 to Mr. Kwejo Boateng at the KPMG's office, Abelenkpe, in a sealed envelope. Please be assured that all information will be kept strictly confidential. Mr. Boateng can be contacted via phone number 024-362-1985. Corporate partnership. We invite you to support the organization and hosting of this laudable initiative with the benefits attached. We look forward to celebrating our partnership with the expatriate and naturalized expatriates on the 8th of December 2017 at the Movenpick Hotel. Please accept my very best regards. And it's signed by the Honorable Carlos Kingsley Ahinkra, Deputy Minister. Mr. Chairman, I have taken time to go through the entire letter because of claims from certain quarters that the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, the reference to the presidential table was in reference to a president of the Millennium Excellence Foundation and not President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Right from the first paragraph, you see that the deputy minister states that the president of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the government and people of Ghana, who for the first time recognize and honor the titans of industry, unquote. So I submit, Mr. Chairman, that the reasonable man reading this letter cannot come to the conclusion that the president being referred to is the president of the Millennium Excellence Foundation. Mr. Chairman, the other claim that has been made by some government communicators has been to suggest some kind of mischievous motive or ill motive on our part, that we have pieced different documents together. And this came up last Saturday with my, when I was on Newsfile with my good friend, the Honorable Kojo Nkrumah. Mr. Chairman, I want to submit that nothing can be further from the truth. This is the letter that was sent to the expatriate businesses. I have checked, and I'm willing to provide, to lead evidence to that effect. This is a full complement of letters that they received. The first attachment has to do with the criteria to KPMG. The second attachment has to do with the award categories, which, Mr. Chairman, you have there attached as the second attachment, the Presidential Circle Partner, seat on the gold president's table. You have exclusive high round table for 10 within the Presidential Circle. And the main issue that we have highlighted is the not only sitting by the president, but the exclusive private dinner for 2 with the president at a selected date. So when you pay $100,000 and $75,000, these are the benefits that you derive. We are submitting, Mr. Chairman, that you need not include these benefits in these sponsorship packages, that it is inappropriate, that you compromise the president, you put the president in an awkward position, you made the president vulnerable. At this exclusive private dinner, are you not really exposing the president? What will be discussed? And if certain demands are made, the president knowing that $100,000 or $75,000 has been paid, does it not weaken his position to really, as it were, say no if these demands are not in the national interest? So, Mr. Chairman, I agree with all the civil society organizations, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, and I'm glad that my good friend, the Honorable Boabin Asamoah, is here. I've always admired him as an anti-corruption crusader. He helped set up the Ghana Integrity Initiative.
Go ahead and state your case. Don't draw any member of the committee into your evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just thought that a little pat on the back wouldn't hurt. But, Mr. Chairman, it is my view that we in the minority find ourselves in very good company with the Ghana Integrity Initiative, with the CDD, with former President Rawlings, PC Appeal Fori, the Honorable Kennedy Ejepong, and a whole host of others who have said that there is everything wrong with this cash for seats matter. Mr. Chairman, proceeding further, I wish to also state that it is my view that a careful reading of the 21st December 2017 press statement from the Ministry of Information signed by the Honorable Mustafa Abdul Hamid. And this is dated 21st December 2017 press release. Statement on President's query to the Minister for Trade in respect of Ghana Expatriates Business Awards. Following public debate on the alleged...
We title it OK2. This one is a single sheet. So it's OK2.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, reading from OK2, it's a very terse statement, so just 3 paragraphs. It says, following public debate on the alleged extortion of money from the expatriate business community for a seat at a presidential table at the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, the President, in a letter dated 20th December 2017 and issued through the Chief of Staff, asked the Minister for Trade to answer to that concern. The Minister for Trade has since responded to the President's query. The facts, as reported to the President, do not disclose any wrongdoing on the part of the Minister or any government official. The President has therefore asked the Minister to put those facts before the Ghanaian people, unquote. And this is signed by Honorable Mustafa Abdul Hamid. Mr. Chairman, it is my very humble view that this cannot constitute a full investigation into this matter. And so it is really imperative that this House carries out its investigative and oversight duties in delving into this matter, because it's clear from the second paragraph that it was just a matter of listening to the facts as presented to the minister. There was no thorough investigation, no cross-checking. Others were not engaged, and the facts were put out. Later that day, Mr. Chairman, in pursuance to the 3rd paragraph of this letter, the Ministry of Trade put out the facts as they had been asked to put out. And Mr. Chairman, I also have that that statement here, Mr. Chairman. And I don't know if it has been, I will be referring to that statement dated 21st December and the 17th December 2017 statement, these 2 statements.
Okay, so we will OK3 for the 17th December, OK3, and then OK4 for the 21st December.
I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, following the directive by His Excellency the President for the Honorable Minister of Trade to put out the facts in the matter, he put out the 21st December statement, which is OK3. But the ministry had already, on the 17th of December, put out a comprehensive statement, which is OK4. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I want to compare this statement, the 21st December statement, to the 17th December statement. The first paragraph of the 21st December statement reads, "I wish to state categorically as follows. Neither His Excellency, the President, nor any official of the presidency, directly or indirectly, or even remotely, was connected with the said event. The President was invited as a special guest of honor, and he graciously accepted the invitation and attended the event." Mr. Chairman, contrasting this first paragraph with paragraph 3 of the 17th December statement from the same Ministry of Trade and Industry, paragraph 3 reads, "Upon the conception of the novel idea, the foundation informed the government through the presidency and further sought partnership with the Ministry of Trade and Industry in the organization of the first ever award event targeted at recognizing and rewarding the contributions of the expatriate and naturalized expatriate community," unquote. This is the first contradiction, Mr. Chairman, that I can see. 21st December saying that nobody at the presidency was involved, and yet the Minister of Trade on the 17th of December had put out a press statement saying that the Millennium Excellence Foundation had gone to the presidency first before it was approved and asked, and the Ministry of Trade was brought in to partner the Millennium Excellence Foundation. So a clear contradiction, very palpable as I can see. Mr. Chairman, the second contradiction is on paragraph 7 of the 21st December statement. Paragraph 7 of the statement, signed by the Honorable Alan Chairmantin, reads, "For the avoidance of doubt, none of the individuals or companies who sat on the presidential high table at the event made a contribution of $100,000 prior to the event as being alleged. Indeed, there were persons or companies seated at the presidential high table who did not make any monetary contribution before or after the event." Mr. Chairman, paragraph 5 of that same 21st December letter also reads, "The organizers of the event were specifically instructed not to collect any monies to place persons or organizations on the presidential high table for the event, and they provided assurances that this will not happen." So this is 21st December, the Ministry of Trade assuring the nation that nobody paid $100,000 to sit with the president, and also informing the country that the organizers of the event had been asked not to collect money from anybody to sit by the president. However, Mr. Chairman, paragraph 5 paragraph 7, pardon me, of the 17th December 2017 statement reads, "Non-mischievous minds with a basic knowledge of event organization will know that, as is the case with all fundraising activities, there are different sponsorship categories and packages with their attendant benefits. As to how one chooses to categorize them, whether presidential circle or platinum, down to the least package, is only a matter of semantics, nomenclature, and ingenuity," unquote. The 17th December 2017 statement clearly sought to justify and even defend this collection of monies to sit by the president and to be guaranteed an exclusive private dinner. On the 17th of December, the Ministry of Trade was busily defending and justifying the collection and saying that it's a matter of ingenuity, actually praising the Millennium Excellence Foundation for coming up with this idea. And so I cannot understand, I find it very curious that the 21st December statement is seeking to inform Ghanaians, paragraph 5, that they had asked the Millennium Excellence Foundation not to engage in what they had described as ingenuity and a very noble effort. So, Mr. Chairman, I believe that this is another matter which your distinguished committee will want to pay attention to. Paragraph 3 of the 21st December statement also states that the letter which we have since made available, which is OK1, the letter I took my time to read, paragraph 3 states that this letter had no link to the sponsorship package. There's no link. Mr. Chairman, I have stated that when you engage the expatriate businesses who received this 23rd October 2017 letter, it is my prediction that you will find out that this is exactly the letter they received, because we have done our independent checks. But I leave that to the committee to check. I submit, Mr. Chairman, that this claim that there is no link with the sponsorship package cannot be true. But I proceed further, Mr. Chairman, to ask that even if there is no link, and that just for the sake of argument, accepting what government communicators want us to believe, that there is no link, how is it possible, Mr. Chairman, that a private event organizer will, on their own, take over the Ministry of Trade and Industry, take over room 308, and ask the expatriate business community to send their checks to room 308 at the Ministry of Trade and Industry? How is it possible that this account, which the checks were lodged into, this account was operated by the financial controller and the chief director of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, as confirmed in an interview by the director of communications of the Ministry of Trade and Industry on the 18th of December 2017. And Mr. Chairman, we have this morning made available to you the audio from that interview. It's a 32-minute interview conducted by Francis Aban of Star FM. Mr. Prince Boateng is interviewed on the morning show on Star FM that day, 18th December. And he states that the account was operated, the signatories to the account are the financial controller of the ministry and the chief director of the ministry. In that same interview, which we have tendered in evidence, Mr. Prince Boateng also states that the chairman of Interplast group of companies, he states clearly that he paid $100,000. So I'll be coming to that matter, the categorical denial by the ministry that nobody paid $100,000 to sit by the president. The director of communications at the ministry disproves that. But back to the issue of the controversial second attachment, which government is distancing itself from. The last page reads, "You are kindly required to develop a 3-minute corporate video in digital format and please deliver to Mr. Prince Boachi Boateng at the Ministry of Trade and Industry by the 20th of November 2017. Once again, another evidence of the Millennium Excellence Foundation asking the expatriate business community to send information to an official at the Ministry of Trade and Industry. So I find it really curious that government is saying that this second attachment, they have nothing to do with it, they know nothing about it, that is mischievous minds who are piecing this together, and yet everything about this second attachment has to do with officials at the Ministry of Trade and Industry and accounts being run by the financial controller and the chief director, checks being collected by an official of the ministry called Mr. Martin Ayanga in room 308. And yet, we are told that this attachment is probably a creation by perhaps we in the minority. Mr. Chairman, this is very, very curious and quite unfortunate, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, it's also important to note that paragraph 6 of the 21st December 2017 letter presents another contradiction. Paragraph 6 reads, following the event, the ministry in collaboration with the event organizers have audited the account for the event and can confirm that an amount of 2.667 million was raised against an expenditure of 2.367 million. It is acknowledged that the event organizers, as private sector commercial operators, are entitled to a fair return for their efforts in organizing the event. However, it was also agreed with the organizers that a portion of the additional funds realized from the event in excess of expenditure will be retained to support the organization of the next awards event, unquote. Mr. Chairman, the Deputy Minister, Mr. Carlos Kingsley Ahinkra, had told Joy FM that they only served as a conduit and that all monies received have been transferred to the Millennium Excellence Foundation. Paragraph 6 of his minister's statement contradicts that. And Mr. Chairman, we have the audio of that interview to Joy FM we gave it to the Auntie Rosemary at the Secretariat. Mr. Chairman, on the controversial matter of whether anybody paid $100,000 to sit by the president, and for that matter, to be guaranteed an exclusive private dinner. We believe that the statement contained in paragraph 7 of the 21st December statement needs further looking into. The Honorable Minister is stating that nobody paid $100,000 to sit by the president. We have adduced evidence from the Director of Communications and Public Affairs at the Ministry of Trade and Industry, mentioning names: Interplast, the MD of Ines Fly, the MD of Dream Realty, who paid $100,000 to be at that table. Mr. Chairman, we want to draw your attention to these inconsistencies from government officials from the same ministry. We believe that indeed payments have been made, and it is important for the Ministry of Trade and Industry to come clean and to be transparent with us. To further compound this confusion also, Mr. Chairman, we have brought to your attention an interview granted the media by the chairman of the Millennium Excellence Foundation. And that is the document with the picture of the venerable and highly respected Victor Beho. So it's an extract from
OK5.
I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman. So OK5, an extract from Peace FM Online, dated 20th December 2017, under the heading 100,000 access fee for fundraising purposes. Victor Beho clarifies. If I may read just the first 3 paragraphs quickly, Mr. Chairman. The chairman of the Millennium Excellence Foundation, Mr. Victor Beho, has stated that some $25,000 and $100,000 charged per expatriate who sat close to President Nana Akufo-Addo at a recently held awards ceremony organized by the foundation were for fundraising purposes. He said, quote, "The truth in the matter must come out," Mr. Beho told journalists at a press conference on Wednesday, 20th December, adding, "The figures charged were for fundraising and sponsorship, but some of the companies have not even paid," unquote. The former ambassador said the foundation will no longer have a presidential table at the events since it has learned its lesson from the raging controversy over the fundraiser, which the minority in parliament and some civil society organizations have expressed concerns about, unquote. So, Mr. Chairman, here we have a situation, let's say nobody paid to sit by the president, but his own director of communications at the ministry is informing the world that people paid. The chairman of the Millennium Excellence Foundation is also telling the world that people paid, but they have learned lessons. He's defending that it was only for fundraising, no other motives, and that they have even decided to scrap this whole presidential table concept, that in subsequent events, they will not have a presidential table. So we need to know, Mr. Chairman, who is really telling us the truth on this particular matter. Mr. Chairman, I also want to submit that the statement made by the president of the Millennium Excellence Foundation, Mr. Ashim Morton, on the 20th of December, and we have that extract also submitted to you. I have submitted that as part of the compendium of documents I presented.
OK6.
I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, OK6 is an extract from myjoyonline.com, dated 20th December 2017, posted at 12 minutes past 6 a.m. under the caption, "Use of President in $100K offer was me, not Akufo-Addo." Mr. Chairman, I want to submit sincerely and very, very briefly that if a careful reading of the 23rd October 2017 letter signed by the Honorable Carlos Ahinkra told the expatriate business community that the program was under the auspices of President Akufo-Addo. Indeed, right from the second paragraph, it says, "The President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the government and people of Ghana will for the first time recognize and honor the titans of industry within the expatriate and naturalized expatriate community." So to suggest that that presidential table refers to the president of the Millennium Excellence Foundation, and that the president was not even billed to attend the event, but when in the last hour the president virtually get crushed, he vacated his seat and offered that seat to the president. Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, it does not only sound, ridiculous. It's also bizarre. It even presents national security concerns and all of that. And we want to state clearly that we have every reason to believe that the presidential table was reserved for the President of the Republic of Ghana and not the President of the Millennium Excellence Foundation. Mr. Chairman, we also want to draw your attention to an audit which the Ministry of Trade and Industry states that it has carried out, which is contained in paragraph 6 of the 21st December letter. It is our view, respectfully, Mr. Chairman, that the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the Millennium Excellence Foundation should not have been auditing themselves and telling Ghanaians how much was raised. We want to plead with this committee to take a closer look at this claim on paragraph 6. Our view is that the Auditor General should have been invited, or an external auditor, because the information we are picking up about what happened in that account or transpired in that account is different from what has been presented here. So, Mr. Chairman, for the minister to state that following the event, the ministry in collaboration with the event organizers have audited the account for the event and can confirm that an amount of 2.6 million was raised against an expenditure of 2.3 million. Our view is that this is too incestuous.
Okudzeto, you say the information you have picked suggests something to the contrary. So what is the information that you have which runs counter to what is contained in the document you are referring to? How much was raised, which is different from what is stated there?
Mr. Chairman, you know that in our work as legislators, people will, help us offer information, all of that. That is why I'm not being conclusive at all. I'm saying that because we are still running our verification, our checks. So we are saying that all of this will have been settled if external auditors.
Yes, I agree with you that people feed us with information. But when you are not certain about the information, you don't put it out. Because the damage you cause to the ministry cannot be repaired. Because somebody is viewing you, listening to you. The person draws the conclusion that even the honorable member said before the committee that what the ministry has put out as monies realized and disbursed is not true. But you don't have any information to the contrary. So please, we should be aware about the way we put the information across. Thank you.
Very much so, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, let me agree with you vehemently that that was not my intention at all. That's why I started by saying that we have not really verified. We are just, we get all kinds of leads. Sometimes they prove to be true, sometimes it may not be true. So I did not sound conclusive at all. I only sought to draw your attention that this matter will be better settled if independent auditors, but to tell Ghana that the Ministry of Trade and the Millennium Excellence Foundation have audited their accounts, and this is how much was raised, and this is how much was spent. Mr. Chairman, this does not engender the confidence that one expects, especially when it has to do with matters of state. So we are not impugning anything at this point, but we are just saying that let us allow independent auditors to do their work. The other issue, Mr. Chairman, that we also want to raise has to do with our understanding of the public Financial Management Act. It is our view that sections of the Public Financial Management Act and the Financial Administration regulations have been breached. We also want to present to this committee the need to consider the Income Tax Act and the Withholding Tax Act, because nowhere in the 21st December statement by the Ministry of Trade and Industry has it been stated that tax obligations have been met. It is our very, very humble and considered view that withholding tax should have been paid. So, to summarize, Mr. Chairman, as I conclude, we believe strongly that Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, noble initiative, is good to acknowledge the contributions of the expatriate community. However, it should have been done ethically, it should have been done legally, it should not have lent itself to all of these matters that border on corruption, on conflict of interest, and lack of transparency. Mr. Chairman, we are also saying that the communication from government has not also helped matters at all. Too many conflicting accounts, too many contradictory narratives on just one event, one single event. Every single item is in contention, is being contradicted. And so we believe that in line with the ingredients in SKMA, page 904, clearly there are matters that require investigations. And that is why we ask you, Mr. Chairman, to carry out a thorough, comprehensive investigations pursuant to the decision of the House and the directive of Mr. Speaker, so that we will get to the bottom of this. Mr. Chairman, it is important to remind all of us that the Millennium Excellence Foundation has laid claim to an MOU which they have signed with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. At a press conference on the 20th of December, they stated emphatically that they have a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. They also stated that this Ghana Expatriate Business Awards has come to stay, that they have an agreement with the ministry that every other year they will organize another one. So this is just one. And look at all the controversy, Mr. Chairman. If we don't settle these matters in the national interest and moving forward, the next one is billed to happen in 2019. What is going to happen? We need to learn lessons. We need to make far-reaching recommendations so that whatever agreement they have with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, when they organize the next event, they can stay away from all of these matters, which really has brought all of us embarrassment and has damaged the image of our country and the democracy. I was sad reading the BBC when they said that the most expensive seat in the world is located in Ghana at the Flagstaff House, and you know, we're being ridiculed all over. I really felt sad as a Ghanaian, and I hope that, Mr. Chairman, we will ensure that we nip all of these things in the bud and prevent the next one from bringing all of this upon our country. I thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Honorable Dr. Asibe, Mark Asibe Yabwa.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. In your submission, you kept referring to we in the minority. And you even stated that you find good company in CDD, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, and others that you mentioned. I want to find out from you, was it a personal decision or a caucus decision for you to second the motion?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would say both. I would say both. I very much believe that this is within my duties as a member of parliament. And so when I was called upon to support the motion, I very readily availed myself.
So it was a caucus decision as well as a personal decision for you to second the motion?
Yes, it was.
Now, in your own estimation, is the motion a competent one?
Very much so, a very competent motion. Indeed, we did consult widely as well, and the verdict of that consultation is that this motion is very competent. And you know that my good brother, the Honorable Dr. Osei, you know that our side of the house boasts to have the longest.
My name would be Esibe Yabua.
Okay.
Not Esibe. Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Honorable Dr. Esibe Yabua. You notice that our side can boast of having the longest serving members of parliament, and the most experienced members of parliament. Don't forget that the father of the house, the second deputy speaker, the honorable Alban Sumani Kingsford Bagbin is on our side, and so our motion is competent. I have no doubt at all.
Thank you. The honourable member, were you comfortable seconding a motion moved by the Honourable Muntaka?
Very, very comfortable.
I say so to say that in the past there's been disagreements with the Honourable Muntaka, and I refer you to the bribery scandal, that the alleged bribery scandal that rocked Parliament in January 2017. And I refer you to the Daily Guide of January 31st, 2017. And I quote you, "Truly, we were given money. I was shocked when Muntaka denied the bribery allegation. Someone called to inform me, but I was shocked until later in the day when I heard the tip. I must say I wasn't surprised. I was shocked." This is quoting you. "Initially, we thought the money was our allowances because the previous day, the minority leader said he had raised a memo to demand our allowances. But we started hearing rumors that the money was coming from Ejako. In this report, you were quoted to have called the Honorable Muntaka a liar. That's why I asked you, were you comfortable seconding a motion from someone you had called a liar?"
I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Osei Esibe just, Esibe Yeboah, sorry, just read an extract. In that extract, it didn't say that I called anybody a liar. You are inferring. But in any case, Mr. Chairman, I thought that on Order 93.4, you will have ruled out the member, because Order 93.4 is very clear that the speech of a member must have reference to the subject matter under discussion. That's our standing orders of Parliament. This is a sitting of Parliament. And Mr. Chairman, I want to apply to you, because this matter really, I don't see the relevance to
I brought it up
what
because
is. You are totally out of order, Mr. Chairman. I don't see the relevance.
That's not for you to decide.
No, so I'm applying to Mr. Chairman. Order 93.4 is very clear.
You must always look up to the chairman. I had my finger on this, on the mic, you jump to your own defense.
You're not smart.
I wasn't smart. Okay, next time I'll be smarter. I won't be smart, I'll be smarter. So, honorable member, ask a different question.
Mr. Chairman, respectfully, he's talked about controversies, contradictions, lessons learned, the way forward. That is the relevance I'm bringing in here. So, what are the lessons learned from January 2017 when you and Ayariga and Suyini impugned upon the integrity of the Honorable Butaka? I would have thought you. That's why I started by asking you, was it a personal decision?
Honorable member, the question as to whether it was a personal decision or a caucus decision has been answered in the affirmative. Has been answered already. So move on.
The Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, did the organizers and the ministry extort monies from the expatriates?
Very grateful, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, it is my very considered view that what happened amounts to some form of extortion, because what else can explain why a private organization, Millennium Excellence Foundation, doing fundraising, and we've all been in the ministries before, organizations apply for some collaboration of a sort, some endorsement of an event that they want to organize. We do not go this far to provide account numbers of our ministries, tell them which officer, which room, in this case room 308, that go there and present your check. Why do you do all of this when a private organization, you say, has come up with an idea? To me, looking at all these facts, clearly somebody at the ministry wanted the expatriates to know that we are watching and we are going to know who has donated or not. Because when you walk up to the ministry, you go to room 308 and you pay the check, we will know. And this is against the norm, the traditions. We've all been in government before. This is not how fundraising by private entities are carried out. That is why I believe strongly that this was some form of extortion, because the fact that you need to go and pay to a particular room at the ministry, full glare, and the ministers and officials will be watching and knowing who is paying and who hasn't paid, will certainly put a certain compulsion on the private businesses, the expatriate businesses, to go and donate. That is why I believe that this amounts to some form of extortion.
My dictionary gives me this definition of extortion as the practice of obtaining something, especially money, through force or threats. And in your considered view, this was government extorting money from the expatriates.
I'm sure your dictionary will also confirm to you, Mr. Chairman, that extortion can also mean grossly exorbitant amounts. If you are collecting grossly exorbitant amounts, you are also engaging in extortion. So there are many meanings to extortion. And I submit that if you look at the facts, if you look at what happened, and the fact that they didn't allow the Millennium Excellence Foundation to go and do their own fundraising, collect their own monies, why did the minister have to sign, the deputy minister have to sign a letter asking them to contribute and then directing them to a room 308, designating an officer, Mr. Martin Ayanga, and all of that? I mean, it's very curious. That's not the standard practice, and that is why I believe strongly, and it's my opinion, that this amounts to extortion.
So, in other words, the MPP used the award ceremony to fleece. I'm quoting him. In other words, the MPP used the award ceremony to fleece the expatriate community.
Without a doubt, looking at what has happened, the facts and all the contradictions thereafter, I'm clear in my mind that this was a fleece, really.
Now, Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa, thus far, have you established that the presidency was involved in the organization and facilitation of the event?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I drew attention to the 17th December statement by the Ministry of Trade and Industry, paragraph 3, which reads, upon the conception of the novel idea, the foundation informed the government through the presidency and further sought partnership with the Ministry of Trade and Industry in the organization of the first ever award event targeted at recognizing and rewarding the contributions of the expatriate and naturalized business community. So, Mr. Chairman, the 17th December statement brings in the presidency. This was the first statement to draw in the presidency, not me. I was not the first to do that.
So in your view, the fact that the country, the government, and the president decide to honor the titans of industry, it means the presidency is directly involved.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I'm understanding the question, the official statement, 17 December, brings in the presidency. That's the 17 December. Then the letter signed to the expatriate businesses on the 23rd of October 2017 by the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry. The second paragraph reads, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the government and people of Ghana will for the first time recognize and honor the titans of industry within the expatriate and naturalized expatriate community in Ghana who have over the decades assisted in transforming the lives of Ghanaians, unquote. So the government itself has boldly brought in the presidency in this Ghana Expatriate Business Awards. It's not we in the minority who have done that.
So, therefore, it leads you to the conclusion that President Akufo-Addo is permitting such extortion in his tenure as president.
It leaves me, Mr. Chairman, with the conclusion that the presidency will have to really clarify. Officials of state, the Ministry of Trade, the minister, the deputy minister's 23rd October 2017 letter brought him at the center of this event. If the president is not aware and is not permitting this, the people of Ghana have to know. Sanctions will have to apply. To the extent that we haven't seen all of these things, I'm not sure that you can fault anybody who concludes that perhaps the president doesn't mind so far as all of these matters in which his office has been really brought into disrepute. So really, that's the facts before us. You can only draw one conclusion, Mr. Chairman.
In a press release that you issued on 18th December, I refer you to paragraph, I think 7, and I quote, I have my strongest of doubts that President Rawlings, Kufuor, Mills, and Mahama would have permitted this during their tenure, end of quote. That is you here stating categorically that the President Akufo-Addo has permitted extortion during his tenure as president.
I issued this statement on the 18th of December, and you are right that I said I have my strongest of doubts that President Rawlings, Kufuor, Mills, and Mahama will have permitted this during their tenure. And as if I was a prophet, less than 2 weeks after, on the 31st of December, I was sitting right behind President Rawlings in Ho at the Revolution Day event when he condemned this whole practice and said that there is a need for thorough investigations.
Honorable Member.
President Rawlings speaking. So, I mean...
Honorable Member, I'm speaking.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
You withdraw that aspect of it. President Rawlings is not before us, or we are going to call him as a witness. Because how do we confirm the statement you are attributing to him?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I told you so. It was a public event, the 31st December, public. If the media was there, it's been well captured.
I haven't seen it.
I have extracts. I can provide extracts of what President Rawlings said. So Mr. Yes, I have, this is Class FM Online, Sunday, 31st December 2017. Deal with $100K saga, Rawlings to Akufo-Addo. Former President Jerry John Rawlings has charged President Nana Akufo-Addo to ensure that the $100,000 access fee saga is resolved. Speaking at the 36th anniversary of the 31st December 1981 revolution in Ho on Sunday, he was emphatic that one cannot also overlook reports of official indiscretion in the cash for dinner seats affair, unquote. For him, it is not a matter that should be brushed aside and must be tackled to its logical conclusion. This is President Rawlings speaking.
Honourable Member, is it not strange that you've alleged extortion, you've brought in the presidency, but the motion did not mention extortion, neither did they mention the presidency. It mentioned the imposition of a levy and then collection of same by the Ministry of Trade and Industry.
Certainly you are right, Mr. Chairman. The principal actors in this, no doubt, Ministry of Trade, Millennium Excellence Foundation. Even the role of the President Akufo-Addo, is the Ministry of Trade that is claiming in their 17th December letter that the presidency is aware of the event. Then the 23rd October 2017 letter signed by the Deputy Minister draws in President Akufo-Addo. So we thought when we were framing the motion that let's stay to the principal actors, but we still stand by the fact that the presidency has been brought in. Remember that we ended the motion saying other related matters. And that is why in my submission before you today, I have not departed from everything we have said on this matter, whether through statements or through media interactions.
Well, Mr. Chairman, that will be all.
Honorable Dr. Ayine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have just two questions for the witness. The first one is in relation to your concerns about ethics. Can you specify what ethical issues arise, directly or indirectly from this event?
I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. I believe that public officers come by their positions because of public trust. The power that we have is from the people. It is the people's right to have access to us. When the people have elected us into high offices, we cannot then make access by the people to us a matter of who can pay or who can afford. It is wrong, it is unacceptable that you pay a particular amount to not only sit by the president, but also to be guaranteed an exclusive private dinner at a later date. Mr. Chairman, appointments with the president must be based on the president's schedule, the president's availability to meet anybody. It should not be about who has paid. And that is why it is our view that these are fundamental ethical issues that have been breached, especially as you really stand the real risk of making the president vulnerable. At this exclusive private dinner with a businessman who has paid $100,000, do we know what demands that private businessman can make on the president? And can the president's judgment, president's discretion, not be compromise of a sort, weakened, because some payment has been made? That is why we are saying that really, I mean, this is not appropriate and cannot be defended.
My last question to you relates to your reference to Article 284 of the Constitution. In your submission on the floor of Parliament, when you were seconding the motion, you made reference to a possible violation of Article 284 of the Constitution on conflict of interest. What, in your view, constitutes conflict of interest in this particular transaction?
I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, it is accurate that I made reference to Article 284 of the Constitution, which deals with conflict of interest. And if I have the permission to quote, it reads, "A public officer shall not put himself in a position where his personal interest conflicts or is likely to conflict with the performance of the functions of his office," unquote. And I was referring to that exclusive private dinner, that if you put yourself in a position where you have collected $100,000 and you are at this dinner, you don't know what the possibilities are, what demands might be made of you. And I just thought that the whole, concept is very problematic. And you put yourself in a potential conflict of interest situation by virtue of having collected money before meeting a businessman. That's why I raised that as one of the issues that I mean we as a minority have serious challenges with.
As a follow-up to that, would your fears be allayed if it were established by evidence that the state stood or stands not to benefit from this transaction in any manner? In other words, the president doesn't have a material or pecuniary interest in what has been collected. In that way, will your fears relating to conflict of interest be allayed?
Well, Mr. Chairman, my fears will not be allayed. I believe that we should not, as public officers, put ourselves in situations where even the suspicion can arise, whether there could be real gain financially or not. The whole concept is wrong. It should not have been approved, whether it was the idea of the Millennium Excellence Foundation or whether it was a joint collaborative effort. That whole concept of pay to sit by me, be guaranteed an exclusive private dinner afterwards at a later date. It really opens, a public officer up to corruption and all kinds of very untidy situations. And so I would say that under no circumstance should this be even entertained at all. And I agree with Ghana Integrity Initiative, CDD, and other civil society organizations who have also made this point.
Mr. Chairman, that will be all for this witness.
Thank you, Chairman. Taking off from where you just left off, have you just the president approved the collection of money to sit by him?
No, Mr. Chairman, I have not said that. I have quoted from the 17th December letter, the statement, to the general public, which says that upon the conception of the novel idea, the foundation informed the government through the presidency and further sought partnership with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. So I've only quoted this, and I've also quoted the 23rd October 2017 letter signed by the Deputy Minister, where the second paragraph states that the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the government and people of Ghana will for the first time recognize and honor the titans of industry. So I've only made references to the 23rd October 2017 letter and the 17th December 2017 statement, which sought to bring the President into a certain knowledge, if you like, about the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards. That's all I have done.
Again, in answer, immediate answer to Honorable Ayene's question about conflict of interest, and I hope I picked it up right and I'm quoting you. You're saying, and this I hope I quoted you, by virtue of having collected money beforehand, the president's meeting, the dinner will be compromised. By virtue of having collected money beforehand. And in this case, I'm assuming you are referring to the president having collected money beforehand, because it's supposed to be a private dinner between the president and the people who are supposed to have paid him the money.
My understanding of the question was a general question that, in my view, referencing Article 284, if $100,000 is collected before a private dinner, what are the consequences? And I said that clearly it puts the president in a vulnerable situation. That is, if it is confirmed that $100,000 was collected, and indeed, if there has been an exclusive private dinner. As we speak, this event took place on the 4th of December 2017. We don't know if there has been any private dinner or dinners. We don't know.
Money is collected by someone, and you stated ad nauseam, room 302, or is it 304, 308, and the president is supposed to have a private dinner. The president would only be discomfited if he is aware that money has been collected on his behalf. So you are telling us that by virtue of having collected money beforehand, it is not the man in room 308 who is having the private dinner. It is the president. So you are saying that the president is aware and is involved in the collection of money. Because of that, he is compromised and he will not be comfortable having a private dinner.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I can appreciate where the Honorable Yabuabi Asamoah is taking us. Yes, there are two possibilities that exist. It is possible that a different person collects it, collects the money, does not inform the president. The president holds this private exclusive dinner without knowing that somebody has collected $100,000 and $75,000. That is a possibility. It is also entirely possible that whoever is in charge of the president's scheduling may inform the president that, you know, this is proceeds from the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, and this is a businessman who paid $100,000, and that is why we are arranging the dinner for him. That is also a possibility. So the two, I appreciate your drift. Those possibilities really exist. I mean, your drift that it is possible that who collects may not inform the president. It is also possible that who collects is also that maybe there's a certain general understanding. That is also, you know, so I believe that is why we have a fact-finding committee to get to the bottom of these matters.
Happily, facts are not possibilities. Exhibit OK5, paragraph on the second page. You submitted OK5 to us, and paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the second page. The communications director at the presidency is quoted as saying, "We want to be clear that we heard it just like almost everybody from the MP for Aswase on the floor of Parliament and also through the media. The president had no knowledge whatsoever about the fact that people were being charged 100,000 to sit by him on a table. He had no idea whatsoever," Mr. Ahin stressed. Honorable witness, what do you say to that?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I believe that that's a very vital information that my good brother and Odadia colleague, Eugene Ahin, put out. At that time, I had been saying that the silence of the presidency was deafening, and it's important to hear from the presidency. This matter had been raging for days. The presidency had been roped in, had been put at the center of this whole matter, and they were not speaking to it. So that was the first time he spoke, and I think that it provides some useful insight as to what was happening. But the fact that the president didn't know does not take away anything from the fact that indeed the sponsorship package which was put together has those benefits attached. That you pay $100,000, you pay $75,000, you get to sit by the president, and you are guaranteed an exclusive private dinner. That as I'm sure as you do know, has now become a matter which is not really in dispute.
I, Mr. Chairman, even though it sounds a little overflogged, want to revisit the definition of extortion. And and I'm quoting you, considered view. A view that is considered is very well thought through and researched. And in your considered view, extortion, which in our lexicon is a term of art for a criminal act with clear elements, is grossly exorbitant. That is your considered definition of extortion. Grossly exorbitant.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Yabwabi Asamam may not have understood why I brought grossly exorbitant. I was only providing other definitions. The Honorable Esibe Yeboah provided one definition, and I will say that there are other definitions, so I just brought that. But I proceeded to answer why I thought that there is a case for extortion, to the extent that this fundraising effort had a very strange approach to it, that the Millennium Excellence Foundation did not collect the donations on their own accord, but that
I want us to stick to the question.
If I can conclude, please.
Mr. Chairman.
But that, no, I thought you asked for...
Mr. Chairman, I asked for a clarification of his definition of grossly exorbitant. My next question would have been to ask the source of that definition. So I believe where he's leading us now is not helping me. You can provide that information elsewhere. So, Mr. Chairman, may I continue?
Yeah.
Where is the source of your definition, grossly exorbitant?
Collins Dictionary, the Cambridge Dictionary, the Encarta Dictionary. They would always give you all of these various definitions for extortion. Collins, Encarta, Cambridge, and I believe the Oxford Dictionary. They will all not miss out on the second definition of extortion, which has to do with, grossly excessive.
compared to what in this matter, in this context?
As I said, that reference had to do with other definitions because he took us to a dictionary definition, and I just made a point that there are several other dictionary definitions. It's just like the difficulty I have had with some government communicators who have sought to make a big deal out of levy, as though there is only one definition of levy in the dictionary. Levy, as you know, in the dictionary can also mean enlistment, conscription, enlisting soldiers in the military. There are several definitions. So when you decide to nitpick, pick and choose, you choose your favorite, and you want to use that to pursue all kinds of political ends, I have a difficulty with that, Mr. Chairman.
You almost jumped ahead of me because I am coming to the question of levy. If, in your considered opinion, this was extortion, a collection of monies with force, because you did describe the big brother is watching you walking into a room to pay, and if you didn't pay, you would suffer some consequences. So force is being used. And then you come to the House of Parliament and second a motion that has nothing to do with force. It talks about the levy and collection. And please, it's a long question. If I may continue with the question. The levy, implying that this is a levy related to financial management, not conscription of soldiers. And therefore, in the motion that has brought us here, where is the notion of extortion, and where do you stand on the question of levy?
Very grateful, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, as I have said, a motion, we are all legislators, a motion has never captured all of the relevant issues. The motion doesn't do that. You keep your motion brief. That is why we debate motions. And in debating the motion, other relevant matters are brought up. So the fact that you don't see, if we had put extortion there, somebody too will say that we don't see levy and collection there, and that will be an issue. So certainly a motion cannot capture, because a motion has to be brief. It's just a one paragraph item. And then when you are debating, when you are then deliberating into the matters or speaking to the motion, as our standing orders will say, then you put out all the related matters. So nobody is running away from anything that has been said on this matter at all. I want the records to capture that. We are not running away from anything we have said since this matter broke.
I would have thought that in putting a motion on the floor of the House, you put your best foot forward. And in this matter, in your considered view, your best foot forward is extortion. In any event, the first witness before you said that he believes that levy was used generically. What, in your considered view, is a levy in the context of this motion?
Well, Mr. Chairman, in my considered view, a levy in this context is what is clearly stated in the Collins Dictionary, which defines a levy as a sum of money that you have to pay. So we're using it in a generic term, not a parliamentary act passing into law, a national health insurance levy, or Ghana Education Trust Fund, not within that context, but the general collection of money you have to pay, as the Collins Dictionary defines levy.
money you have to pay. So it is not voluntary.
It is voluntary in the context of what we are discussing. You will notice that it is voluntary with special antennas, checking who is paying and who hasn't paid. So, yes, when you walk to room 308, Big Brother is watching.
So, if it is voluntary, then it is right that people sat with the president who didn't pay any money.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have no doubt that there are some people who sat by the president who didn't pay. I have no doubt. But as the Director of Communications of the Ministry of Trade has said, there were also some people who sat by the president who paid. So you find those two categories. I don't believe that former President Rawlings paid or Ambassador Agbeho paid, because he also sat by the president. But Mr. Sakri, the communication director, the Dream Reality MD, and the Innesfly MD, the communication director of the ministry, Mr. Prince Boache Boateng, says they paid. And he's a member of the awards committee, so I can't challenge him.
So, from your definition and your acceptance of the discussion of your definition, if it is voluntary, then in your considered view, it could not have been extortion.
I have laid out the very strange circumstances surrounding this particular collection. This is the only fundraising I have seen that you have to walk to room 308. You have to give your check to Mr. Ayamga. And yet we say that is the Millennium Excellence Foundation that is doing their fundraising. The Millennium Excellence Foundation, why does the Ministry of Trade have to be reduced to some collection point for, like some Susu collection entity for Millennium Excellence Foundation? Why should that be the case? If not for, some other considerations, what will really more or less compel people to want to come and pay so that they will be in the good books of the ministry? Because I don't see how else I can explain this strange occurrence.
Could it have been part of the considerations involved in the partnership, especially as set out in the MOU you have referred to as having been owned by the Millennium Excellence Foundation? And in particular, if you refer to paragraph 4 of OK4. OK4 is the letter of the 21st December 2017. Mr. Chairman, if I may read. Yeah. Paragraph 4 of OK4 says, as part of arrangements towards the organization of the event, the Ministry of Trade and Industry insisted that all monies raised in support of the event be paid into an account held by the ministry to ensure financial integrity and accountability, which the organizers agreed to. Now, the concluding sentence. It is therefore difficult to imagine how a government institution seeking to extort monies from individuals would insist on issuing official receipts. So, is it not the case that the organizers and the ministry agreed beforehand their different roles, and that the ministry took it upon itself to ensure that monies collected were properly accounted for and used towards the purpose, as distinct, for example, historically from the debacle of the presidential diaries some years ago?
Well, Mr. Chairman, at this point, we haven't seen the MOU. We don't know what was agreed. So I am unable, Mr. Chairman, to expatiate further on this particular issue.
Very well. Let's go back to paragraph 3 of OK4. Paragraph 3 of OK4. It is the contention of the ministry that it wrote OK1, which is the Ghana Expatriate Business Award, signed by the Honorable Deputy Minister, and had one attachment, which, from the documents you give us, is numbered 1. Is it possible, and could it be the case, that in transmitting the letter to the potential donors, the sponsors could have attached another document? The organizers, in transmitting the ministry's letter, I am assuming, and I believe I have firm foundations for that assumption, that the letter that was written was handed over to the organizers. And the question is it possible, as stated in paragraph 3 of OK4, that when the ministry says the letter had no link to the other letter, that it is the organizers who were raising funds who attached that second letter?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I have 2 responses to that. The first one is that page 2 of that letter, OK1, corporate partnership, under corporate partnership, the Deputy Minister writes, "We invite you to support the organization and hosting of this laudable initiative with the benefits attached." So my reading and understanding of this is that the benefits that were attached, which we are all referencing now, stems from that rendition under corporate partnership. That is the understanding we had, and that's how we have always proceeded. But my second response also to you is that if that happened, if what you are saying is what happened, that the Ministry of Trade is contending that they only had one attachment and that this second attachment was added by the event organizers.
I do not speak for the ministry.
Okay, I tell you.
I asked a question. Okay. I didn't say I was asking it on behalf of the ministry or that the ministry did that.
Okay. Okay. So Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry about that. So if that possibility is the case, then my response is that why is government silent on that? Because I believe that this raises very, very serious matters. The Deputy Minister of State has signed a letter with one attachment, and then you add another attachment to it. Is this not misrepresentation? And why is it that in all of the statements and all of that, it appears that the Ministry of Trade and Industry is fine with the Millennium Excellence Foundation, has not raised that matter even in their 21st December statement, and has not sought to even publicly repudiate or condemn the action by the Millennium Excellence Foundation. So I will really be surprised if this second possibility is what actually transpired. I'll be surprised.
If we read paragraph 3 of OK4, 21st December, it says, and this is from the ministry, it's headed a press statement by the minister, the structure, 4, content and distribution of the sponsorship package for the event are solely attributable to the event organizers. And the ministry had no role in the design of the said package. For the avoidance of doubt, the letter signed by the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, which has been cited in the media, and this is emphasized, had no link to the sponsorship package. So contrary to your view, your considered view, that the ministry is silent on that matter, I think paragraph 3 is very, very clear on it.
No, I chose my words carefully. I said publicly repudiate or condemn, because I mean it's not a matter that you will hand over a bouquet of flowers to.
The press is not private. The press is very public.
So I would really be surprised. But Mr. Chairman, the second line in what the Honorable Yabuabia Samuel read to us says that the structure, form, content, and distribution of the sponsorship package for the event are solely attributable to the event organizers. Mr. Chairman, my contention is that the ministry cannot distance itself. You signed an MOU. You are in partnership with the Millennium Excellence Foundation. If you look at the sponsorship package, Mr. Chairman, if you come to the attachment, it says GIBA, Government of Ghana, partner, strictly black tie event, Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, partnership categories and benefits. Government of Ghana is there. So the government of Ghana cannot just oust its responsibilities and duties when they have signed an MOU with the Millennium Excellence Foundation and expect all of us to be clapping for them that they have acted very responsible in this matter, and that, let's blame the Millennium Excellence Foundation. And look at all the embarrassment that has come upon this nation. Mr. Chairman, I don't think that we should
spare me the value judgments and let me continue my questioning.
We should buy this possibility. I think that it's too costly to our country.
Chairman, I'm almost done. So you accept that there was an MOU, which implies that there was a partnership relationship between the ministry and the MEF?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, though I haven't cited the MOU, the various statements and letters have made reference to it, so I have cause to believe that an MOU exists.
Chairman, this question is by way of clarification. And again, I hope I don't misquote you. If we can go to OK3, page 2 of OK3, paragraph 3 of the statement. In commenting on it, you said that the notion that upon the conception of the novel idea, the foundation informed the government through the presidency and further sought partnership with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, etc., meant that the president approved of the collection of monies.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I believe that the records will bear me out, that what I have said is that the presidency knew about the event and all of the matters arising. They knew about it per the 17th December statement.
I'm just asking you to confirm a word you used in your main presentation. Commenting on paragraph 3 of the statement, you said that because the novel idea was passed through the presidency, the president approved of the collection of monies.
No, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe I have said that here. I haven't said that.
My last question, Mr. Chairman. You have told this committee that the ministry cannot self-audit and that it required the Auditor General or otherwise. If these were not public funds, why would the Auditor General have to audit them?
Our contention, Mr. Chairman, looking at Article 157 of the Constitution, the Public Financial Management Act, Section 16 to 22 of the Financial Administration Regulations of our country, we are clear in our minds that this is public funds. We're very, very clear. If you look at the interpretation of the Public Financial Management Act, page 68, under 102 interpretations, it says public resources. Public revenue, including revenue acquired through donation, bequest, borrowing, movable and fixed asset, deposit, receivables, and rights. That is how the Public Financial Management Act defines public resources. So we are clear in our minds that this is public funds. It doesn't, you are collecting monies in the name of the public through the activities of the ministry. So it's public funds. That's our understanding of the law which this House passed.
Which particular item in that definition refers to the situation we have now in that definition?
Donation. Revenue acquired through donation.
It's not collections, levy, or extortion, or anything anymore. It's donation now.
They are all forms of donation.
Mr. Chairman, I'm done. Did you just say extortion is a donation?
Honorable Aveji.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, welcome. Let me just take you to very few questions. I don't have much questions. Let me refer to the document marked OK1 and paragraph 2, and let me quote. The President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo,